Something that will plague the majority of us throughout our life is some level of tightness in the hip, especially if we're lifting. If we're weight training regularly, these things can start to build up if we're not doing enough mobility work. Even if we are doing enough mobility work, you may find that you develop some weaknesses, some tightnesses in certain areas. Now, the hip is a complicated joint. It provides us with stability through all of our movements, through our day-to-day. It's working while we're walking, it's working while we're running, while we're sitting. What we need to do is make sure we always take care of our hips. That's going to in turn help us take care of our backs, etc., etc. Now, one of the common things you will see during, let's say a squat is a shift off to one side at the bottom of the squat. This can be for very, very many reasons. Very often it's an ankle issue, could be a hip issue, but one of the best ways to fix that and to fix most issues around the hip, whether that be weakness, inactivity, or tightness, is something called a hip aeroplane. So what you're going to do, get something for support. Now, you can use the plate on the edge of a barbell, which allows you to rotate with it. You can use a wall, you can use some bricks like this, anything you want. What you're going to do, ideally, if you can, I should take my shoes off for this, take your shoes off so your foot is working on the floor. We're going to lean into this support and lift that back leg up behind us. So right now here, I'm engaging this glute, I'm lifting this leg up, and what I'm going to do from this position is I'm going to try to externally rotate this hip. Turn my whole pelvis away from that leg, and then rotate back in, getting a good stretch on it. Rotate all the way up and out. And what I'm trying to do is get my pelvis to open up, and what you'll start to find is that, when you're not losing your balance and looking at a camera, is that your hip and glute will start to fire up in order to help you rotate that pelvis round. Your foot will be reacting to the floor. There will be minimal, but some rotation in the knee as well. So every joint in the body here is going to start to work. All the little stabilizers are going to start to fire up in order to get you moving, in order to open up that hip a little bit. What you're going to want to do with that movement, especially on a tighter side, is probably 2 to 3 sets of 15 reps before you start your squatting or deadlifting. It can be incorporated into your warm-up drills. If you do that, you will find that your hips start to move more freely. Now, how do you know which side is going to be the tighter hip? Easiest way to do it, I can't quite show you here because I'm standing up, and you probably won't see me if I lie on the floor. Lie down on the floor, place one leg on the opposite knee, and then allow that hip to fall, or that knee to fall as close to the floor as you can, without lifting this hip. So imagine I'm lying on the floor now. Place this foot up on the opposite knee. Allow this knee to fall to the floor as far as it can, whilst keeping this hip on the floor. Now look at the distance below that knee and the ground. Then do exactly the same with the other side, and see if there is an asymmetry there. How far is this knee now from the ground on that side? It's very important you do keep the opposite hip down though. What you will find usually for most people who suffer with, say, a tilt at the bottom of a squat is that one side is much, much tighter than the other. That is the side you're probably going to want to concentrate on. However, this hip aeroplane can benefit every single one of you as a mobility and activation drill before you squat, before you deadlift, or before you go into any kind of lower body workout. Get it done, 2 to 3 sets of 15, pre-training every single time, or a couple of times a day just to wake those hips up and keep them mobile.